Hey everyone, welcome to this week's Arts Report. My name is Katlao Sohoto, and in studio with me this week I have an incredible guest. She is an award-winning content creator. She runs her own beauty, travel, and lifestyle YouTube channel, and she is doing absolutely amazing work. Her name is none other than Mihlali Ndamase. Mihlali, welcome to Kai FM, and thank you so much for being on the Arts Report.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for coming through. I mean, you are doing so well. I'm sure some things feel surreal right now, but really you started from the ground up as this content creator, doing these makeup tutorials online, showing us how to apply makeup. I mean, did you imagine that when you started, this is where you'd be today?
Not necessarily. The part that I envisioned for myself was completely different, but I think there are a lot of goals that are still in line with what I wanted prior because they all relate to beauty. But I never really thought I'd be here, especially at this age, and what I feel is probably a little bit quicker.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, the journey of makeup is such a personal one. I think every woman has a different experience of it. So I know in your teenage years, you experiment more with colors. And as you grow older, you think being mature means certain colors. So just give me a background on your relationship with makeup over the years. Has it been like, a specific journey that you can say, yeah, when I was this age, I was doing this, and now I'm here, I'm doing this?
Well, with my journey, it started when I was pretty young. I used to steal my mom's lipsticks. I think I was like 10
Yeah.
years old. So I'd wear those to camp. And then going into high school, I started experimenting a lot more with makeup because I was in boarding school. So I'd use the allowance that I got from my parents to buy makeup at Clicks. You know, those little baskets that they
Yes.
put with, what is it when they cut down the price of
Yes, the
beauty
specials and the
products?
sales. Yes.
Yes. So I'd always pick up products from there. And that makeup was just a mess. It was just basic teenage girl trying out makeup.
Yeah.
And then when I got more into studying makeup, that's when I started experimenting a lot more. So I've gone through not necessarily the grunge phase, but I'm someone who experiments a lot. I'm very open to wearing a smoky eye and going into natural glam and nude lips, red lip, bold lip.
Yeah.
So my journey really just depends on trends at the time because it's also my job to keep up with them and really just what I'm gravitating towards
Yeah.
and what looks good on me.
Yeah. And talking about trends, I mean, sometimes you might think makeup is limiting. Like if I've identified a lip color that suits me, I might be like boxed in and say, this is what works for me. I can't experiment with a bright pink, for example. So is it limitless, or how would you advise women, especially when they try out stuff? Would you say it's limitless, you can play with anything? Or are you saying check your tone, check your color, check your features? What does that conversation look like?
So when it comes to color cosmetics, there's no rules when it comes to beauty. So if you want to wear a pink lipstick, then wear a vibrant pink lipstick. I feel like a lot of dark-skinned women or women of color have a huge advantage when it comes to color because generally neon orange, a pink, a red,
Yes.
it looks good on everyone. But there's obviously technicalities about undertones. So when it comes to foundation, you can't just wing it. You need to know your undertones so that you don't end up looking cakey or ghosty or, a bit too dark than you're supposed to be. And that's basically it. But when it comes
Yeah.
to color, literally play and experiment and you'll figure out what works for you.
Yeah, and I mean that's a brilliant thing that you touched on. That a lot of dark-skinned women do think they're limited, but actually, when a lot of dark-skinned women wear bright colors, it's just so much
looks
more striking. It looks
beautiful.
beautiful. When you work with clients. And perhaps you get someone who maybe doesn't have the confidence levels. Are you having a conversation with them? What do those sound like?
I don't freelance anymore. I
Yeah.
stopped freelancing like how long ago was it? 2 years ago? I don't
Yeah.
know. But back then, I mean, obviously there were people who weren't necessarily confident in wearing a very full face of makeup.
Yeah.
And they want something natural. So you have to help them understand that even what appears to be natural makeup on TV and on Instagram is not that natural because you still follow the steps in order to achieve that flawless look. And when you want more natural glam or soft glam, then you're focusing a lot on perfecting skin.
Yeah.
So it definitely is a conversation that you can have with someone. And most of the time when people look in the mirror after getting their faces done, they light up immediately. And some people, the face beat might only, they might only warm up to it, let's say 30 minutes later, when they realize that, okay, actually what she did works for my face.
Yeah.
So it's just hoping that your clients will trust you.
Yeah. And now I want to move towards a very a beautiful thing that's happened to you recently. You've been named as under the Forbes 30 under 30, one of the stars there, and you're doing fantastic. And Forbes 30 under 30, immediately when I hear that name, I think it's someone who's doing financially well and who's perhaps managing their finances and their money and there's everything about them well and creatively. How are you managing that side of your life? Is it a good? Are you managing?
I am managing. I mean, I'm trying. I'm not great when it comes to finances. I'm not gonna lie, but I do have an accountant who helps me keep my books and just tries and helps me manage my budget.
Yeah. So you wouldn't say you're financially savvy?
I believe in spoiling myself.
Soft life.
I believe in spoiling myself, but I also believe doing it with limits. And I also pay attention to, okay, if I'm going to buy that, can I buy it 3 times right now? If I can't afford to buy 3 times right now, then there's no reason for me to be buying it.
Yeah. And would you say, Mihlali, that you're living your dream right now? I mean, 24 years old, Forbes 30 under 30, award-winning content creator. One could say, what's next? So are you living the dream right now?
I am, but at the same time, I'm not someone who likes to get absorbed by the moment. I do celebrate what I've achieved, and I am extremely grateful, and I do give myself a moment to sort of say a prayer and thank God.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more that I aspire to achieve. So I don't let these achievements or these milestones along the way distract me, because I feel like there's a much bigger picture and I have a certain vision. But in terms of Forbes and everything that's going on, I really do think I am blessed. And yes, I am living my country.
Yeah. And I remember when I think I was watching one of your live streams just after the Forbes thing, and you were really emotional in that video. And you were talking about the journey, but you were also talking about defeating the haters, the naysayers, because there's a lot of those on the journey.
Exactly.
Have the naysayers hurt your feelings maybe in the past, and it had to come from a deep place of you to overcome that? Like the negative stuff, I think we do talk about it here and there, but no one really knows the depth of how painful it can be. Yeah.
Well, I think I'm very blessed because growing up, my mom was very supportive. She's very, very supportive, and she's also a very confident person. So that's something that she passed on to me, and she made sure that I grow up understanding that nobody can tell you otherwise. Your goals are your goals, your dreams are your dreams. You just need to be determined and confident in them, in achieving them.
Yeah.
So I definitely got a lot of naysaying, and a lot of people think that naysayers or negativity starts on the internet. It even starts at home. There's a lot of parents who don't support their kids who want to go the creative route. And unfortunately, I was also one of those. There was literally only my mother who was on my side when it came to pursuing a career in beauty, and even letting me go the marketing route when I went to varsity instead of studying something traditional like medicine.
Yeah.
So, the reason why I got so emotional is because it's something that I've experienced. And yes, it does hurt. It hurts a lot more when it comes from home. But I think once you've experienced it at home, there's nobody else in the world who can tell me otherwise. And that's really the mindset I had going into my career. And when you believe in something so strongly, and I think I'm very fortunate to have had a mother who's supportive, that by the time I started putting out my work there, even those who are questioning what I'm doing and where I'm trying to go with this, they didn't really bother me at
Yeah,
all.
because mom's holding it down.
Exactly.
You're protected, you're loved, and it's fine.
And it's also about having confidence in your craft. That's so important.
Yeah.
If you don't have confidence, how can you possibly convince other people to believe in you?
Yeah. And well, the thing with confidence about your craft, it does take time because you're also making mistakes along the way. But then, a naysayer would be like, you're wasting your time. Whereas someone who's trying to encourage you might give you tips and advice on how to improve at your craft.
Yes.
So, I mean, along the way, outside of, your mom, as you say, was there support, like people really on your side and rooting for you?
There was support in terms of some friends. I think a few of my friends were probably like, okay, well, maybe this is more of a hobby. But
Yeah.
a lot of my friends were extremely supportive because, I mean, we are young, so they understand, YouTube and the beauty community. So there was some support there. And I also had support from a partner that I was seeing at the time,
Yeah.
as well as who else was supportive during my journey? A lot of my audience. So when I started my YouTube channel, for example, I already had an audience on Instagram. So I drove traffic from there to my YouTube. So by the time I started my YouTube channel, there was already a lot of support on my Instagram from people asking things like, how do you put together your looks? How do you do your makeup?
Yeah.
So that really, really helped. And I think it's so reassuring when you're sharing your work and something that you're passionate about with the world and people respond positively.
Yeah.
So even when I was getting criticism and the negativity, I was like, you know what, there's people who actually appreciate this and people who've been asking for this. So I'm not going to let these other negative people distract me.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, talking about the technical stuff that you mentioned in terms of driving your audience from Instagram to YouTube, I just want to talk about the actual content. And, when you start a YouTube channel, sometimes it actually feels intimidating because, you might put out something and you get like 2 views, or like you just starting. And it can be difficult for someone who doesn't know the space. So was it by accident that you learned how to drive audiences in a certain way, or were you carefully kind of curating per video that this is how it works?
I wasn't necessarily carefully curating per video when I started out. I was sort of going via people's interest and sort of using my Instagram to do research around the content I should be doing for YouTube. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah.
But it was just simply, I think also at the time, I just knew it was time for me to start my YouTube channel. People being interested in things like fashion and makeup for me, which was already something I was passionate and curious about, was then a go-ahead for me to get started and put out the content.
Okay. Yeah.
So if anyone's feeling insecure about starting a YouTube channel, I think for me, the advice I'd always say is that just start. Because at the end of the day, even the people with 5 million subscribers, they started somewhere. They started with 0 subscribers, 0 videos. They had to upload their first video. So you need to just start when you're ready.
Yeah. So, and I guess that would be your advice to a beginner, to just kick it off. Be confident about your craft. You will make mistakes along the way, but then just carry on.
Be open to criticism and just be consistent and persevere through.
Yeah. So, Mihlali, what do you do for fun? What do you do in your spare time?
What do I do
besides
my
the
spare
soft
time?
life?
I
Oh, is
stress
that-
my manager and I go out. Then I wake up with a hangover and we have to shoot content.
Shame.
What else do I do for fun? I love spending time with my friends and my family.
Yeah.
Because for me, having a social life outside of work is so important. And I think for my mental health as well.
Yes.
Especially because a huge chunk of what I do is, it requires me to constantly be in front of a camera or constantly be a people's person. I think it's also important for me to fill up my cup by spending time with those that I love and not only just industry-related events.
And it makes you a round person because then you also can channel whatever's going on in your life into your work.
Exactly.
It gives you a framework. Do people sometimes misunderstand you from what they see on YouTube and the person they meet?
Not necessarily. I try to be very polite to my followers whenever I meet them. But I think the only time that people might be disappointed is if you meet me when I'm out and I've been drinking and I refuse to take a picture, unfortunately, because I probably don't look good and it's just gonna...
And it's your right to decide that you don't want to take a picture.
Exactly. But otherwise, I'm the same person. You're gonna get me.
Yes. Okay, that's so wonderful. Mihlali, I think that's it. And I just wanna wrap it up by saying, we are marking Youth Month. We are celebrating young entrepreneurs, people who are trying to change the way young people function. We have a high unemployment rate, and young people are trying to find different channels to create income. So, just as we mark Youth Month, what would you say to the young people of SA?
I'd say to the young people of SA, there's a huge movement that people did for us during the Soweto uprising. So
Yeah.
I think that reflects a lot during our time as well, and this just goes to show the strength of Black young people who want something. And even during this unemployment high rise, there's a lot of people who are using social media to monetize and create opportunities for themselves. And people shouldn't be discouraged. They should continue. If you want to start a business online, don't be discouraged. Everybody has a market. If you want to start your YouTube channel, if you want to put out content and be an influencer, go for it. This is the perfect time.
Yeah. I actually forgot to ask you, what is the difference between an influencer and a content creator? Is there a difference?
I think it's more or less the same thing, because influencers also create content for the products that they selling.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the idea of an influencer is someone who gets like a gig, right? And then they
Yes.
have to go and sort of either they MC an event or no?
No, not necessarily. Because if you're an influencer, then you're trying to influence people's buying decisions.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So you could be an influencer, but then more of an MC or a TV host if you are then hosting gigs on top of that. But generally, the name just explains itself. You are literally trying to influence people to use a certain product or service.
And content creators, you literally just
you create
the content.
Yes.
Okay. No, that enlightens me. Thank you so much, Mihlali. Thank you so much for coming
having
through.
me. I'm
Thank
so
you.
happy I came through.
Yes. Thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in. That was Mihlali Ndamase, and we only wish her the best as she moves forward in her career. And kudos to you. Kudos to you.
Thank you.